Welcome back to an episode by episode review of Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. Today we're going to go over episode 4, The Outside, directed by Ana Lily Amirpour. Overall ratings for this one's going to be a 4 out of 5 stars. It was really close to 5 stars and probably would have been if I hadn't just watched The Autopsy. The Outside to me is like half a step below The Autopsy, but they're really close. And The Outside is definitely better than Lot 36. One of the things I loved about this particular episode was how highly stylized it was. It was a Christmas episode and they made great use of the Christmas lights, making all of the scenes really bright and colorful and flashy. I love the 70s decor with all its bright wallpaper colors and bright rugs and cabinets. I love that kind of retro feel going on. There are a lot of uncomfortable close-ups and like slight fisheye lens looks going on with the popular women in this in-group. And the other thing I was really impressed by is our lead protagonist really looks very mousy and rat-like in the beginning of this story and goes on to look really classically beautiful by the end. And I was amazed especially at the closing shot on her face where it's contorting back and forth between like a smile and like a horrified look, because they showed with different camera angles and different facial expressions how even with like the pretty makeup on, I could still see some of like her bulging too big rat-like eyes and features, and it's just all about her facial muscle control and the way she's tilting her head and looking at the camera. You know, I had assumed that more makeup had been involved in either making her pretty or making her ugly, but that last shot kind of cements to me that it's more about how she's holding her face and the angles that I'm seeing her face at than the makeup itself. And that was something that was like just from an artistic standpoint was really cool and was making a very interesting point all by itself. I enjoyed this entry into the anthology too because it does tell like a very feminine, female-centered story. I appreciated how this tackled female dysphoria. I'm not talking specifically about being transgender. They experience dysphoria in an entirely different way, but even as a cisgendered woman, most ladies face this idea, at least from time to time, that they aren't looking or acting or being a woman or performing the role of woman in the right way. Certainly, I've always been pretty confident about how I look and how I present. It's been made clear to me on a couple of occasions that I present very traditionally feminine. And even then, with like continuous societal and like internal reinforcement, there have definitely been moments where I've thought like,
gosh, I'm really just not living up to that standard, or like I just feel out of place at a party or an event. I'm not dressed like all the other ladies, or I'm not living up to the standards that the people around me have set.
And I'm like uncomfortable with who I am and what I'm looking like in that moment. This particular short took that to an extreme at a level I don't think I've ever personally felt, but I liked how it kind of captured that. And it's something that I think almost all women and probably men too experience, although as far as I can tell, it's something women discuss more often in circles than men do, so maybe not. I don't know. Men, chime in. Do you ever feel like you're not looking or performing the role of masculinity appropriately? And I also appreciate the subtlety in the depiction between like the bitchy in-group of women and our kind of like outcast protagonists. Like these women are very mean and catty, never directly to the protagonist though. And it's very obvious when you look at these women and you look at our protagonist that she doesn't fit in, but the women never say anything about it. And this is all like very true and genuine to women being outsiders or feeling like they're being like left out of an in-group. People don't come right out and tell you,
hey, you're not one of the group, you don't belong, or like, hey, get X, Y, and Z thing put together and you can be one of us.
They don't even imply that you're not one of them, but you know it just the same, and anyone with eyes can tell. You know that, and it's slowly like chipping away at you and driving you a little crazy inside. I do wish we'd gotten a couple more shots establishing this and continuing to push our protagonist to use the lotion, because we get like that pinnacle moment at the Christmas party where she thinks she's arrived and made it, and actually the Christmas party just proves forever that she's never going to fit in or be part of the group, which is like a very sad moment, and I felt really bad for her. But then she stays at home and continues to get that rash and appeal and stuff, and I just don't know, I 100% buy that that she would continue to suffer and go through that transformation without more continued reinforcement from that feminine group. You know, like I would have thought the time by herself and alone would have helped her like get back down to center and base and maybe take more interest in her taxidermy hobbies, take more support from her husband, sort of settle and accept this is who she is and where she's at. I personally just didn't relate to like that frenzied continue insistence that I don't fit in and that I'm wrong somehow if I don't have like an outside force continuing to push that idea in my face. And I think the intro that Guillermo del Toro did at the top of this anthology is kind of like not related to the anthology itself, either to its messaging or to the main thing happening in it, because he talks about like the magic box, which is the TV, and the magic wand, which is the remote. And I was really excited because I liked those comparisons with those objects and was getting ready for like some kind of sitcom TV style thing. And while the TV and infomercials are used, it's not at that level. And I think you don't even need it to tell this story. I think you can 100% tell this story without the TV or the TV gimmick that's happening. Overall, I'd say this particular story went on just a little bit too long, and that's part of what knocked it down from being a 5-star. I just don't think we needed that much time with the skin rash and peeling. I think we could have cut the TV stuff out entirely, and I think we could have just got to the point a little bit quicker. We all knew from the jump where this was going and what was going to happen, and we were like enjoying that journey, but we didn't have to drag it so long. But tell me what you think. Did you like The Outside? Are you enjoying Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities? And as always, keep reading. Bye!